Untamed is going to be untamed. It's going to be a little crazy. I want to talk to my people. I want to talk to my brothers and sisters. We can have grace and humility in how we interact with other people.
Oh, hot dog, look at you.
And nobody talked about what's really happening.
And let's have conversations about what truth is.
President Trump, we support you. We support ICE. Our country was made for Americans, not for Somalis. Pro-ICE, baby! America first, America only! We'll see you here, February 7th, Saturday, 12 noon, outside the Minnesota State Capitol.
Let's get him. Hi everyone, Patrick here. I know that's a surprise for you. Don't worry, Joe is inbound. He will be walking in studio shortly. He was doing Joe things, doing things behind the scenes, verifying certain things, right? We got big things we're gonna be unpacking here on Untamed over the next couple of days, next week or two. It's gonna start today, but Joe was out just making sure I's are dotted, T's are crossed, making sure we are completely factual with the information we will be bringing to you over the next couple of weeks. So please forgive us, but it was for good purpose, all right? And right there, that's Jake Lang, all right? Regardless of how you feel about what his role is, who he is, right? But I think he hit the nail on the head, just blasting that prosecute ICE sign right in front of the Minneapolis State House, because that's where we are. That's where we are in the world, right? We have a legitimate state government with an ICE block out front of it with it written out, prosecute ICE. We have come and fallen so far in the past 25 years. It is unbelievable that I am living through this and witnessing this. It is beyond frustrating watching what is happening in our streets, happening in our state houses, happening in our Congress. It's just frustrating as just a regular American watching all this happen all the time, all the way, and we're still here. And where has our life improved? Have groceries come down? Has housing prices come down? Has inflation cooled? And then we have state representatives, people within our own federal government, demanding that people that are enforcing immigration law get arrested and held accountable for enforcing that immigration law. Wanting people that are out there making our community safer, actually arrest them and throw them in jail. We live in bizarro world, okay? And if you don't understand that, check out old school Seinfeld, okay? I grew up on that show. It was way ahead of its time, but legitimately, you say hello to mean goodbye, up is down, left is right, right is wrong. We live in it. In all this day of the technology, all this information available at our fingertips, we are dumber than we've ever been. More people are brainwashed more than they ever been. And we are just seeing the absolute fallout from it day in and day out. And Jake Lang has been throwing some heat, right? He's gone to some protests, mixing it up with some people, kicking over the prosecute ICE sign in Minneapolis. And guess what happened to him? You think they just said, oh, no big deal, you know, summer of love 2020, we burned the city to the ground, but no one really got charged with any crimes. No one was forced to, you know, contribute or pay back to the billions of dollars done to Minneapolis, right? No charges, you know, we had no go zones, right? Did you see recently they had the streets blocked off where the citizens, those commies, were running the checkpoints and checking ICE, right? Like that city and state is so lost. They are lost. Jake Lang wound up getting arrested. Let's put the post up. Let's give everyone a good look at Jake Lang's mugshot here. Jake Lang's mugshot is out after his arrest in Minnesota. The conservative activist faces felony criminal damage to property charges for kicking over the prosecute ICE sculpture, and turning it into pro-ICE. Where was this happening when they were tearing down Columbus statues and lighting buildings on fire and cars on fire, breaking into federal law enforcement vehicles, assaulting ICE agents on the regular, destruction of their property? Where are the charges for those clowns? Every one of them, where is it? Nowhere to be found, nowhere to be found. But let's go get him. Tells you everything you need to know about where the priorities of the state house and the governor of Minneapolis, Minnesota are. Right? It's right there. They are anti-American, but they camouflage as pro-American with the nonsense and rhetoric that they push. Right? They are so anti-American. It's egregious how much these people hate America, but yet are still in charge. Why? Because our elections are stolen. Plain and simple, guys. Like, it took me a while to really understand it, but I really get the system now. And the system is really designed to rob us of our voice, rob us of our representation, and then to select these political hacks to then legislate against the American people in favor of special interest and illegal aliens. American government 2026. Right? Our government actively works against us. Whatever President Trump wants, whatever President Trump kind of points the wheels in a direction, he is fighting through layers of bullshit underneath him. It is crazy to watch all this. It is crazy because, like, I have a different perspective now. I am kind of seeing more of it from the inside, and the information that has been made available to lawyers within the DOJ and the DOJ still failing to act, pretty alarming. Information made knowingly to FBI higher ups, information dead on the vine, right? And I know this because of the work I have done now. And things are not moving. Why? Why is there such resistance from within our own government that can actually make our lives as Americans better? Because those within the government, the ones that actually control those levers of power, still choose to not open those levers in favor of the American people. They fight it, they resist it at every step along the way. And we keep getting what we get. And you get a frustrated American base. You get an angry American base. But then once that angry American base shows their frustration in any shape or form, squash you. Right? Like January 6th. Should people broken into the Capitol? Probably not, right? Probably not. But the way the DOJ went about it and just blanketed everybody, hit anyone on the right that was in the vicinity of the Capitol with charges and locked them up in the gulag. They knew exactly what they were doing with that. They were instilling the fear into the American right that if you act up, if you say anything, if you do anything, we're going to drop the hammer on you and you're never going to see your family. And the problem with that for us conservatives is that we love our family, right? So like we get put in a really difficult spot. Stand and fight and resist for our family on a public setting where public pressure can possibly move the needle on changes or possibly get arrested or most likely get arrested for attending an action like that. And then missing our family, like that, legitimately, that's what a lot of us conservatives wrestle with. If I didn't have a soon-to-be 4-year-old at home and a wife, I would love to be in the streets mixing it up with these assholes. Because enough is enough with allowing the ridiculous to dominate the talk on the streets, to dominate that they control and they need and deserve and want everything that they deem as fair. Bullshit. Work for it, earn for it. Okay? No one is discriminated against in this society. No one is oppressed in this society. No one's on stolen land on this society, right? But it's the rhetoric on the left that have brainwashed these mental midgets into behaving the way that they are. And they're like little infant toddlers now that are standing and screaming. And we give in to them at every turn. We give in to them at every turn. We give in to them. Bad parenting, bad leadership, okay? I kind of disagree with toning it down in Minneapolis. I disagree. We talked about it a couple weeks ago, right? I was saying the left will take and take and take and take and take until they can't. And then you make them to stop. But guess what? You already ceded 6 inches of space to them. And that's what's happening in Minneapolis. And that's what's going on all throughout the country now. Is that the playbook's out, how to resist ICE, how to push ICE, how to make ICE look bad. And now Trump is talking about we need to have a softer approach. Maybe, maybe not. But the numbers are what the numbers are, and us as Americans are continuously paying the price for having illegal aliens here that are mooching off the system, that are continuously committing felonies against their supposed community members. But yet these blue states and blue cities, finally Minneapolis are allowing these ICE agents in to take out the riffraff and get them back to wherever the hell they came from. But let's see if all these other blue cities and blue states, Denver, Colorado, Mayor Johnston, you gonna let ICE come in? Probably not. You're a little bitch though, so you won't do anything. You'll cry, you whine, you ain't gonna do shit, but except get the Nimrods down on the ground level, all fired up. Get the robots going to hit the streets to make sure that they impede any ICE investigators trying to remove sexual predators from the community that you are supposedly elected to protect. Can't make this stuff up. Cannot make this stuff up, right? But that's the nature of the beast. That is the nature of the beast we're at. We have a special guest, guys. Take a look who just came in. Joe is in the house. Told you guys he was coming. Stuff happens, but he was doing his due diligence to make sure everything that happens and we bring to you is on the up and up.
Yeah, what a day, huh?
It's not even over yet, man. It's only halfway for us. Well, for you anyway. I'm just following you tonight, but you got to be on the stage.
Yeah, but how about everything we're learning?
Insane. It's insane.
How insane is it?
The documents are absolutely incredible. With the documentation of what we're going to uncover to you guys later in the show, you're not going to believe, because no one can get away with this shit. Like if any regular,
but they can.
They can. Yes, I'm sorry. Any regular person like you, me, us here, we will never get away with this stuff. Like hitting cars and getting away with it, not getting charged. Yeah, and not to mention that you're a Supreme Court judge, right? So like, just
it's not even. It's one of the reasons why I'm late getting here is, well, let's talk about Polis being involved and Weiser being involved and affidavits that are under seal by other judges that are trying to cover for judges. I mean, you're talking. I mean, how big is the evidence? It's thousands of pages.
It's a lot. We only got a little bit for you guys today because it needs to really be broken down and digested out.
Yeah, listen to me. The entire judiciary in the state of Colorado is rotted to the core. Trash. The entire one.
Trash.
We only have the sheriff for a little bit.
Yep.
And we should jump right in and have Sheriff Mack on here with us. Maybe he can give us an idea of what's going on and see the things he wants to talk about.
You do Sheriff Mack. I'm going to hop back in there with Damon to make sure Damon's good.
All right, sounds good.
All right, brother? Have a great show.
All right. Sheriff Mack, welcome to the show, brother. Oh, you're muted. Turn your mic off.
No problem. I know you're busy, and I know you're doing the Lord's work, so let's help as much as we can.
Man, I tell you what, we've, I think you probably heard, one, I'm running for governor of Colorado. Two, we've been uncovering some massive fraud in the state of Colorado, and we're going to break some of that today. But Sheriff, you've been able to see this stuff over the last 5 years and probably the last decade before that, right? This isn't new to you. How do you deal with corruption that's so deep that you can't even see the bottom of a bucket that's 3 inches deep of water?
Well, it's actually the reason I formed the Constitutional Sheriffs and Peace Officers Association back in 2012 and 2011, sorry. But it's actually the reason that I sued the federal government back in 1994. The corruption has been just so ubiquitous all over the country. If you look at the Clinton administration, look at Bill and Hillary and how corrupt they are and all the corruption that they got away with. It's astonishing what those two people, the crimes that those two people have committed, and they keep getting away with it. They flaunt it. They don't give a damn about America. Folks, this crap that Hillary Clinton cares about people, so she wrote a book called It Takes a Village. That was a pack of lies. The likelihood that they've been involved in murder is extremely high. If you look at the statistics around their 116 people that just happened to die, Vince Foster, probably.
You're
in
talking
fact,
about the Clintons, correct?
yeah, Bill and Hillary, you bet.
Yeah, yeah.
And then you look at how corrupt Obama was, and that he ran guns down to the cartels in Mexico, got away with that, completely got away with it. Said he was, he wanted gun control, so he sent all the guns down to the cartels. And in fact, a Border Patrol officer was killed with one of those illegal guns that Obama sent down to Mexico. Gets away with it entirely, and all the other crap he pulled. But then look at the Biden administration. Could it be any worse than what the Biden administration did to America? The treason of bringing in international terrorist groups, the treason of bringing in the cartels, the treason of bringing in the pedophile rings and the human traffickers and the fentanyl. All of this was designed. It wasn't a mistake. It wasn't, oh, well, let's be more user-friendly at the border and let all these people seeking a better life just come on in without any vetting, without any law enforcement involved, without any protection, without any security. And there's two reasons they did it, but election fraud was the bottom line. Election fraud allowing, what are they saying now? Anyone that wants to vote, anyone in America, that means any foreigner that happens to be on vacation in America could just go register to vote and vote in our country. And if you oppose that, guess what? You're a racist. If you want people to have identification to vote and you oppose foreigners voting in our elections, then you're a racist and a bigot and a white supremacist. This is how utterly stupid it's got. Has gotten in our country. And if you oppose anything of that, then they're going to come after you just like they've done Trump and the J6ers and anyone else that gets in the Democrats' way.
It's the more we sit and have this conversation about what happened with Hillary and Obama, and we look at even the years that President Trump was in. For the first 4 years, he had the House, the Senate, and much like he did this for this one, House, Senate, and the presidency. They basically are just trying to reprint what happened in 2020 or 2016, right? And that's why they take the midterms. They get some Republicans to defect, and then with that defection, you're able to impeach President Trump for the third time. And this is, I'm going to later on after, I know that you're on a time frame, so I want to make sure I respect your time fully. But we're going to be talking about today.
We still have about a half an hour.
Okay, perfect. When we talk about the corruption that happened at the highest level, and we look at this first part of the, related to, the first part of the election fraud that's happened over the last year, all the things that we've been able to uncover. Mm-hmm. You're talking about a crime family that would make the Gambinos and the Smaldones look like they were preschool teachers.
Of course. No, absolutely true. And but let's be very clear. I don't know if I was clear enough on this point. The reason that they opened the borders was to make sure that 20 to 30 million people came into our country. So first, that they could get registered to vote, and they have. And there's sheriffs all over the country, including Colorado and Minnesota and other places, that have tried to make sure that these people all get driver's licenses so it's easier to register to vote. Where some states require them to have ID, they've got it. But they're trying to make it to where you don't have to have ID. That's what the Democrats want. Why? Because they want all the people they brought in to get registered to vote. That is election fraud and treason. Folks, treason is against the law in America. And that's another thing that the Democrats did. What they've done all over this country, where the blue states are in charge, that they've made sanctuary states, sanctuary cities, so that these criminals that came in across the border could not be prosecuted for anything. And let the Democrats know very well. And why anybody would vote for a Democrat anymore is beyond me. there's some good people in the Democrat Party, and they're still going along with these crimes. And they've got to wake up and smell the coffee here and realize that you can't pass a law nullifying other laws. And it is against the law to aid and abet anyone who commits a crime to come into our country. Whatever the crime is, you cannot create a sanctuary state or city and say, you get to come here and we get to protect you even though you broke the law. You can't make a law like that. That is absolutely so stupid and insane. And why are sheriffs allowing that to occur in their states and their jurisdictions? Sheriffs, wake up. It's time to enforce the law, and it's time to conduct investigations against all of these crooks that are politicians in your state, and including and especially the judges in Colorado who are so ubiquitously prevalent all across your state, especially the judge who was presiding over the case of Tina Peters. That she's in prison right now is an absolute outrage, and that anyone in law enforcement had anything to do with that. That woman is a hero and should have been treated as such, and she should have been protected by her sheriff instead of a sheriff who acquiesced and went along with her arrest. This is absolutely an outrage. And then the other part of this equation for the utter corruption of election fraud is to make sure that all the illegal aliens are counted in the census. What does that do? That gives more power to the leftist Democrat socialists so that they can get more gerrymandering done legally because of all of the people who are here illegally being counted in the census. Absolutely astonishing. And it is time for the citizens of this country to get involved. What did Jefferson warn us about? The price of liberty. The price of liberty is eternal vigilance. And he was talking to us. The first three words of our Constitution, we the people have got to be involved in the solution for America. And that's what we offer you at cspoa.org. We offer you a part. We offer you to hold the reins in getting us back to our Constitution and getting us back to the principles of liberty upon which our country was founded. That's where we've got to be now.
Let's talk. You talked about sheriffs getting to the place where they start investigations. I'm a very tactical person, Sheriff Mack. I'm very tactical. I believe that it's one of the reasons why over the last 5 years I've finally been vindicated, is because I like to build on things and I talk about things, and I have a very, very focused mindset to make sure that everyone understands it. I don't care if you've heard it 50 times. I'm going to say it 51 times. Why? Because I want you to understand that this is the absolute foundation of why we do not have a sane society in the United States. We talk about, and we have a very short memory as Americans. That's why they can say, hey, we have these Somalis that stole billions of dollars, and oh, now let's go after ICE, and someone at ICE shoots someone, and all of a sudden we're like, squirrel, and move over here. And we never seem to focus in on what the real problems are long enough to solve them. So let me just be
Democrats are really good at distracting. That's why.
So are Republicans. I mean, let's be honest.
Too.
Republicans are just as retarded because we don't select those leaders either. We have a GOP that literally handpicks their candidate to walk past because they want to make sure that they control who that candidate represents. It's not a Democrat problem, Sheriff Mack. This is a systemic issue of the political apparatus and how rotted it is, and why it's actually rotted out everything else in our country. And that's the quiet part out loud, by the way. I realize that. It's not going to make me.
Yeah, I wish you were wrong, but you're not. I wish I could argue that a lot better. The only thing I would say is that Democrats are usually a lot worse than the Republicans, but the Republicans keep trying to chase after the Democrats and be like them. So, yeah, and the rhinos are no better, Like, for instance, Mitt Romney. Enough said. Obviously a liar. And when Tucker Carlson came out with the truth about January 6th, he said, we already have the truth about January 6th. We don't need to watch any more evidence about January 6th. We already know the truth. So that's really what you're getting there a lot. And yeah, it's so corrupt. And right now, who can argue with the uniparty thing except for at least what Donald Trump has done to restore some sanity across our country?
Well, so let's talk about tactically what sheriffs can do. You have Dar Leaf that's done some amazing work looking into the election fraud and the massive amount of crimes that were committed inside of the emails that were handed over by Stephanie Lambert because she thought she had a duty to report crimes that were committed. It has fallen on deaf ears. He walks it right over to the DOJ, has conversations with Harmeet Dillon, talks to Pam Bondi, Todd Blanche. You could walk down the line, puts out public pleadings to President Trump saying, here are the crimes that are committed. No one shows up at his door to pick up that information. Matter of fact, what could be the biggest breakthrough of all the crimes that have been committed could be on the front doorstep and would result in thousands of people being arrested. Crickets.
Astonishing.
So how do we as people have faith in sheriffs doing the right thing when the handoff from the sheriff to the DA has to happen, and the DAs are either feckless cowards that are basically going to do the biddings of the rhinos or this underpinning, the wizard behind the curtain, or you hand it over to a Democrat, DA, and they say there is no there, as we just heard in a case we're going to be discussing today.
And the Clinton line depends on what is. So yeah, we've had that kind of stupidity and that kind of nonsense permeating. And look, I said this during the Obama 8 years. As long as the national media is protecting you, you can get away with anything. And we're still seeing that. But why is the same media that used to be pro-Obama is very anti-Trump? And yet we're still having these problems. And so I don't get it, because I believe Trump wants to do the right thing. But I still wonder then, why do we have Pam Bondi holding off? And why do we have Judge Jeanine Pirro, who believes in gun control and said anybody caught wearing a gun that is licensed and totally lawful inside Washington, D.C., she'll make sure they're arrested. And they'll take the gun and they'll be lucky to get it back. I mean, how is Trump putting up with her? And she's acting like this is just fine, that gun control and arresting people who have not committed a crime and taking their property without due process of law required by the Fifth Amendment. Well, why is she still in there? And why hasn't she been reprimanded and put in her place? And what is the NRA saying about her? So I'm going to call the Gun Owners of America and see what we're going to do about getting rid of her.
Well, this is the problem that I keep having conversations about. What are we going to do? We run the clock, as you say. They run the clock, and we end up with nothing on the other end. The people have this thirst for justice. I think it was said best this morning when I was talking to a few friends. The Democrats are pissed, the Republicans are pissed, the independents are pissed. Everyone's pissed off. No one feels like they're getting any sort of justice. They all have the same feeling for different reasons, and they all think that the other side is actually the problem, when in actuality, we've become slaves to a system and to a people who were never elected to begin with. They were selected. So we are literally the plebes. We are literally the slaves, the sharecroppers on land that frankly, they tell us we don't own either. So how do we square that? How do we get to a place of accountability when the only people that are going to be held accountable are you and me?
Yeah, that scares me, because when the Democrats take over again next year, or this coming year, it looks really bad for Trump again to be impeached. How did they impeach him the second time anyway? He wasn't even in office anymore.
No, they
And they
impeached him.
anyway.
Right. I mean, again, it's a dog and pony show in order to embarrass
It
him
is.
because once he got out, then they went after him for felony charges that were fraudulent. Then they went after him and they did it in a jurisdiction where the system, I was able to have a friend of mine look into the picking of the jury pool systems. And I said, okay, let me ask you this question. How much data and how do they earmark all the people inside the jury pool system? And he's like, that's a good point. It's supposed to be a black box where it just spins and people are randomly chosen.
No.
Only, Sheriff Mack, that's not true. They chose radical leftists to serve on the board. The same way it should be where you put names in a hat of just random citizens and those are the people that would serve on jury duty. No, they don't do that. They literally stack the deck against the American people every single time.
It was Jim Crow laws 2.0 against Trump. And I thought that the liberals all were against Jim Crow laws, yet they totally supported the same principles of Jim Crow laws. They totally supported that against Donald Trump. And that's why all of us who watch the insanity of the Democrats, it looks like this Trump derangement syndrome is real. And there's some psychiatrists who say it absolutely is real.
But it's working on certain kids because we don't have an offensive. We don't have an offensive that we're actually on our side to tell the truth. I mean, I sat down with 300 Democrats, and it took 4 hours to get to the point where I was like, listen, all right, here are the things you said you wanted. Check. I could do all those things. Those are all attainable things that we can do if I'm the governor of Colorado. And they were like, oh, really? And I'm like, yeah. And I listened. But here's my problem, Sheriff Mack. Even when you listen, we don't have the appetite of people in the state or in the country that can get across the finish line what needs to get across, because we have Judases and Brutuses. We have people that have a lot to lose financially if they fix the system so that it favors the people.
Yeah, I'm afraid you're right. And the political structure is geared away, one, from our Constitution, and two, doing anything that will really help the people return to the principles of liberty. And I think overall, the backdrop of what you've been talking about really lies with the warning from General George Washington, or President George Washington at the time, when his farewell address, and he talked about the dangers of a two-party system. And he said that it would end up being the bane of American liberty. And it surely has been, because both sides are all about winning and protecting their team instead of following and enforcing the Constitution and the principles of liberty that God blessed this country with in the first place. And so we've gotten so far off track that I don't know if a return is possible. But we, you, me, and the rest of us in America, the Christians of America and the lovers of liberty and all patriots, and you don't have to be a Christian to be part of this, but there's a lot of Christians who aren't a part of this and who really should be believing that we've got to take America back. We've got to defund Planned Parenthood. We can't continue to pay funds to Planned Parenthood to kill babies and expect that we're going to avoid the wrath of God. And so there's so many wrong things going on. And that the IRS, so we've allowed the IRS to exist and to bully and to victimize the people of America for over a century now. And we keep putting up with them as, oh yeah, you got to have them. And if our tax structure was honest and fair, and if our congressmen from both aisles, Congress would be honest and fair about our tax system, we wouldn't have an income tax to begin with. But if they were a little bit honest and fair about it, but no, they're not. They want to control the American people. They want us to be afraid of our own government. And it's time that we raised up in righteous indignation and make sure that we start prosecuting and investigating the corrupt politicians. Sheriffs can do that, and then get the grand juries in these counties to start acting. But we've got to take a big step towards an independent grand jury in every county in this country, plus an independent, courageous sheriff.
Well, I tell you what, Sheriff, that is what we need to do, and we need to make sure that they protect and actually serve their oath of office, and the fact that they are driven by and or mandated by the Constitution to be constitutional. So
the oath is essential to all of this. You're absolutely correct.
All right, how do people follow CS? What is wrong with me?
CSPOA.
CSPOA. How do people
CSPOA.
follow it? How do they contribute? How do they become a part of your team?
Okay, so first, folks, understand that the acronym CSPOA stands for Constitutional Sheriffs and Peace Officers Association. There it is. First, watch that video of me. It's only 90 seconds. It's very short, but everybody needs to see how powerful that video is. And then join our posse. We train you and work with you so that you will work with your sheriff so that we can create pockets of freedom all across this country. The sheriff only reports to you. You are his only boss. If he never hears from you, how is he going to know what you want him to do? And it's essential that he understands his role in our constitutional republic and the oath of office he swore to protect our God-given republic, our God-given constitution. Folks, this is a peaceful and effective process. This is a peaceful and effective solution. And if we won't get involved in a peaceful and effective solution, just what will get us motivated and get us moving? So go to cspoa.org, become a member of our posse. It's a whopping $11 a month. If you don't like what we're doing, don't help us be funded. If you want to just make a donation, there's a donation button right there on the front. We need your help. How do you know how dedicated people are to the cause of liberty? How much time and money they're willing to donate and make it a part of their lives. So folks, when I sued the federal government, I beat the Clintons at the U.S. Supreme Court. Did you know about that? They've hidden it from you because it's the most important decision in the history of our country. And here's a copy of the case. It's on my website. Get a hold of this and buy as many of these as you can. It's very inexpensive. It's real small, fits in your shirt pocket. And pass these out to local officials. Where are we best served? What General Flynn said. Local action, national impact. That's where we save America. We take America back county by county and state by state. So folks, it's time to get involved. It's time to wake up. Join us in the holy cause of liberty at cspoa.org.
All right. Sheriff Mack, thank you. Thank you for your service. Thank you for the work that you've put in and the work that you've done. And you've been doing it for a long time. And you're not fatigued and you keep going. So thank you. By the way, vindication feels good. And I know that there are arrests coming and there are things going to happen either over the weekend, today, tomorrow, into next week. And so I look forward to seeing treasonous traitors held accountable for what they've done to our country over the last decade.
Amen to that. And I thank you for your work, and God bless you in your race to be governor.
We'll see. We'll see how it goes.
Yeah.
All right. Take care. God bless you.
See you soon.
Sheriff Mack's been fighting a long time. He's been one of the first people to get out there and talk about what sheriff's obligation was and how we can push forward on creating getting back to sensible. I had a conversation today. I was talking to someone with a large organization, Catholic organization, and we were talking about the sensibilities to what we face and whether or not Democrats have an appetite for it any more than Republicans or independents. And I would say they don't. Now, put on your hat, put on your helmet. What I'm about to go over with you over the next hour and 15 minutes is one of the most startling cases of a crime family that you've ever seen. There's a whistleblower that worked inside of this apparatus for over 20 years. His job was to make sure that ethics were kept. Then a man named Jared Polis came into office in 2018. He's been there for 8 years. In those 8 years, he saw this degradation like something he's never seen before. He saw it from the outside because when he became a whistleblower back in early 2020, he was ostracized, thrown out. But the case was then taken to the DOJ. It was taken to different areas. Then they started looking at some of these improprieties. And what we're going to talk about today is a connection between Supreme Court justices, judges in the city and county of Denver, which is basically the hidey hole for all the corruption and terrible human beings that you could probably put in the same place. They all are represented in this judiciary in Colorado. They're the hired henchmen. They're the enforcers of really evil people like Phil Weiser, who's supposed to be the highest position for justice, for the, making sure that we have the application of laws. He's the Attorney General. He's supposed to be the one to make sure things are done righteously. Only he used it to his own gain. He took money, he took bribes, and Supreme Court justices committed crimes. And then the other judges, all of them, committed a crime because they knew what was happening, they knew what had happened, and they didn't report any of it. And what's worse about that is that this extended all the way down to the chief of police in Denver. It extended to the DA's office. It extended to people that are lawyers. They're supposed to be looking out for the better interest of people in Colorado. But instead, what it turned into is just a thing where they can rub each other's back and tell the police, you know who I am? Imagine if you could say, do you know who I am? Where the rules don't apply because you're a have, not a have-not. The stark reminder that this, what I'm about to talk to you about, is absolutely absurd. It shouldn't happen this way. But before we do that, I want to play this post from Free, and it was a part of the interview that I had with him just a few days ago. Great interview. If you haven't seen it, go check it out. But here's Free, and we were talking about the justice system. Let's play it. And this is something I didn't talk about before, but anybody that's on here that's had to deal with a judge, you're supposed to be innocent until proven guilty.
Yeah.
Is it?
No.
Okay.
Been through it.
We need a citizen group that has the ability to hold judges accountable. We need to remove this idea that they have prosecutorial immunity. We need to remove the ability for them not to have people sue them for wrongdoing. We need to make sure that if a judge is doing wrong things to people in the community, that they don't continually get to do it until finally someone has enough money to fight against them.
Yeah.
They need to be removed immediately. So there has to be a mechanism by which people have a voice. And the only way you do that is, again, return it to a place where the ethos and the mission of that organization is to hold judges and hold DAs accountable. Hold judges and hold DAs accountable. All right, we're going to start at the top. I'm going to run through the Supreme Court judges that we have currently. Let's start there. Here's Maria Berkenkotter. Maria Berkenkotter was on the Supreme Court, has been since 2021. She was in the Colorado 20th Judiciary from 2006 to 2017. Then you have Brian Boatright. Brian Boatright, from 2011 till now, has been on the Colorado Supreme Court. He was in the Colorado 1st Judicial from 1999 to 2011. So it's just I get to judge other people, sit on this perch for over 25 years, 27 years to be exact. Here's Richard Gabriel. He's been on the Supreme Court since 2015 to the present, and he was on the Colorado Court of Appeals from 2008 to 2015. Here's Melissa Hart. Melissa resigned in January of 2026. She was on the Supreme Court from 2017 to 2026. Monica Márquez, Richard Gabriel, Melissa Hart, and William Hood, this person here. We'll talk about those others later. They were the ones that voted to take President Trump off the ballot. Now let's take a look at these other ones. This is William Hood. He's been at the Supreme Court since 2014. And here's Monica Márquez. From 2010 to present, was on the Colorado Supreme Court. Monica Márquez is one of those really, really radical leftists. It's funny that I say that about this radical leftist here, because this Monica Márquez is actually tied to the Eric Coomer case in a really, really strange way. She's friends with the special master that was assigned to my case for Eric Coomer, the one that has basically violated every law, been very unlawful, and that the judge in my case with Coomer passed over to the special master so that he didn't have to make any decisions that would be known to be unlawful. Instead of the judge doing his job, brings in a special master. And I'm actually not sure that special master even has a law license anymore, but is ruling in a case as if she is the judge. Here is Carlos Samour. He's Colorado Supreme Court. He's been there since 2018. Let's put him up. And he was at the 18th Judicial District prior to that. Now we're going to center around, let's put her back up, Melissa Hart. Melissa Hart resigned. She resigned as Supreme Court Justice, put her picture up. She resigned as Supreme Court Justice in January of 2005. Or excuse me, January 5th of 2026, excuse me. She was a Colorado Supreme Court Justice until, I'm sorry, she was a Supreme Court Justice, let me back up a little bit. She was a Supreme Court Justice until January of 2026. She resigned and she's served that appointment since 2015. Now, she gave a reason to us. Go ahead and put her up next to me so people can see me. She gave a reason in her public letter, which we're going to read, and court announcements was personal and family consideration, with Hart stating she wanted to spend more time with her family and pursue interest after nearly a decade on the bench. Now, let's go ahead and look at her letter, shall we? December 19, 2025, Dear Chief Justice Márquez. By the way, I wanted to let you know that Monica Márquez is the chief judge. Good friends with the special master in my case. See, I've been digging. I'm writing today to let you know that I will be retiring from the Colorado Supreme Court effective January 5th, 2026. It's been a deep honor to serve the people of Colorado on this court and do so with such extraordinary colleagues over the past 8 years. As you know, I've been on personal leave since October 28th, 2025. And I'll continue to on leave until my retirement. I have needed this time to address continuing health concerns arising from 2 concussions I suffered in the spring of 2025, and to help with family as I have faced other health challenges. I'm also grateful to the branch for giving me the necessary space to address these matters. The time has allowed me to reflect on my future. I remain deeply committed to the work that is central to Colorado's judicial branch, preserving the rule of law and serving the public. There's a reason why I'm reading this, by the way. As you know, I'm especially concerned about access to civil justice for low and middle income Coloradans and making the family law system work for unprecedented litigants. Colorado, like every other state in this country, is struggling to serve the public in these areas. I joined the bench because I felt I could address these issues, and I plan to continue the work after retirement. I won't be a stranger. Instead, I hope to be a change maker and a partner with the judicial branch. Well, isn't that going to be nice? These 8 years have been among the best of my life. I've loved working with the clerk's office of the court, with the staff attorneys, with the term clerks who work in each chamber with the Supreme Court library staff, with the extraordinary team at the State Court Administrator's Office, and with the Judicial branch community all over Colorado. I've learned so much from each talented person I have had the privilege to work with. I'm excited for the person who will replace me as a justice on the court. They will take on a truly wonderful job with exceptional colleagues serving a great community. I wish you and every member of the court the very best. Warmest, Justice Melissa Hart. All right. So I'm trying to slow this down for you because I think it's really important. She's on leave for what she said is a concussion. She fell and hurt her face from a dog biting accident in April of 2025. We'll go back to this story later of how that happened. Let me show you something really quick. This is a document of Hampton versus Hart. This is a district court civil complaint for a pleading on counterclaim, cross-claim of third-party complaint. Now, I want to take you to paragraph 8 really quick. This is because of an accident that happened in 2017. In 2017, Melissa Hart was on the bench. Melissa Hart was a Supreme Court justice. Melissa Hart, it says the defendant, Melissa Hart, negligence included, was not limited to, careless driving, traveling too fast for the circumstances, then and there existing, distracted driving, and failing to maintain a proper lookout. Here's the problem. Are you ready? She was never cited for this accident. How is that possible? How is it possible that there was no police report? Well, let me just tell you, you don't know who she is. She's a Supreme Court justice. Now, her husband, something you should know too, his name is Kevin Traskos. We're going to get to him in a minute, but I just want you to know who he is. Kevin Traskos. Kevin Traskos is an attorney as well. And man, I got to tell you, you're going to want to hear about this. This is a pretty deep deal. Like what I'm getting into right now, I've looked through some of the most sinister things that could happen. That's all right. We're going to talk about Kevin anyway today. I've been talking to people, by the way, related to Melissa Hart for quite some time. But she got in another car accident in March of 2025. And let's show that document if we could, please. Can we put that up? This is a hard copy of a traffic accident happened in 2025 in March. Let's go kind of move down through this document. Cover shows the name, so you see her name. Melissa Hart, there it is. Page 9, so let's go to page 9, the details of this accident. Can we go to page 9? Can we go to page 9? And so far, by the way, we've been having conversations. Here we go. Here's the initial report. Traveling southbound at a speed of 3 miles an hour in a parking lot, St. Josephine Street, Hill Stone Restaurant. On the west side, parked southbound on west side of building, colliding with a Ford legally parked and left unattended, northbound in front of a Toyota on the west side of the building, going 3 miles an hour. Now let's go to the page 18. This is the diagram. Can we see the diagram? So here you have the diagram. This is the diagram of the accident. Do you notice anything? Do you notice the direction by which the car, can you make that bigger by chance? Can we go? Yeah, go up. And you'll see that there's kind of the picture of northbound, and it shows that here's the arrow. Now, tell me what you see and what you don't see. Tell me if you were doing a write-up, if this would be a proper write-up for this. So you're going 3 miles an hour and you crash right into the car in front of you. You believe that? And so then we have to go to a dog bite. Now, I need to back up a little bit, because in the middle of all of this, there was, she loved to get involved with law enforcement. And unfortunately, as we start talking to people involved in this, Melissa Hart liked to tell people that who she was. Like, I'm a Supreme Court justice, you know who I am. And everybody covered for her. So here's a document that happened in April of 2025. Now, we actually don't know how many other incidences Melissa Hart had as a Supreme Court justice or a part of this crime family, because we're going to get into that too. But there's a dog bite incident in April of 2005. Put that document up, please. Can we make that bigger? So on April 23rd, 2025, approximately 11 hours, so 11 o'clock in the morning, made contact with Mary Kathleen Matthews regarding a report dog attack, dog bite. Excuse me. Let me go to the document real quick so I can also have it. Okay, maybe I don't have it. Do I not have it? Where's the document in here? So I can read it. Okay. I'll try to read from the screen. Upon seeking regarding a reported dog attack and dog bite incident that occurred the same day, around 9:30 hours, so 9:30 in the morning. The call was reported via DAP dispatch the same day around 09:36 hours, 9:36 in the morning. Upon speaking to Miss Matthews, she confirmed that her dog, Chance, an approximately 8-year-old neutered male tricolor collie type dog, were walking with Larry Bailey around the 2200 block of North Claremont Street when a black, is that all they guess? Yeah. A black Labrador Retriever mix from 2260 Claremont Street ran off the porch and has started to attack Chance, repeatedly biting at him. Ms. Matthews confirms that Chance was frightened after the attack, but it appeared to not have sustained any injuries. She advised that while trying to kick and hit the attacking dog to get off of Chance, that she was bit on her right arm and faintly on her leg by the attacking dog. She stated the attacked dog's owner, Melissa Hart, ran after the dog and fell, injuring her right eye in the process of trying to get the dog, before finally regaining control and controlling the dog inside her residence. Ms. Matthews advised that to leave town the same day and agreed to email a detailed statement and picture of the bite wounds, which she later did, showing a tooth scrape on her left forearm wrist, small nick or possible puncture on her right elbow, and minor bruising from a tooth scrape on one of her legs. Ms. Matthews expressed concern surrounding the dog's rabies vaccination status. There was no prior history in chameleon for the attack, bite, dog, owner, or address. Okay? Now, why am I breaking this down? Because you're like, Joe, this is just a dog bite. This is an incident. Here's the other narrative that you have. I believe this narrative is from Melissa Hart. She said she was arriving home. She had a large welt and bruise on her right eye, which she indicated had occurred during the attack bite incident. She was visibly shaken up from the incident while we spoke. She claimed ownership of Obi, an approximately 5-year-old neutered male, black and white Labrador Retriever type dog, who was laying calmly but alert behind the glass storm door while we spoke outside on the front of the porch. She accepted full responsibility for Obi getting loose, advised that it was holding his collar, and opened the door when a maintenance worker, when she slipped out of his collar and charged at Chance. She said she ran after him and fell, hurting herself before she was able to get Obi back inside. She admitted it was traumatic to see Obi acting that way, and she knew that it could be reactive towards other dogs. She advised going forward that it would place elsewhere in the home, secured before the front door was opened to prevent any potential further issues. She provided me proof of the current rabies vaccination, blah, 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 blah. Go through it. Quarantine release was scheduled for the phone on May 3rd, 2025 at 0900 hours. I warned her about licensing for Obi and her other dog, Molly, a spayed female black miniature poodle type dog. I advised her that I would be issuing a court summons for the incident, explaining the charge to be issued. I issued Melissa Hart for the violation of Denver Revised Municipal Code, animal attack or bite, and DRMC, potential dangerous animal. She acknowledged, understanding, and accepted the court summons without any issues. Court was scheduled for June 4th, 2025 at 0800 hours. Okay? Do we get all that? You got all that? Now, why is that important? Why are we going through this whole thing about the dog incident? Whew. Now we have to get into what did she do? And I'm not sure, why are we going into the Christopher Gregory stuff without finishing off this? Why is that not in there? Okay, so time meaning, I mean, there's certain elements that I think you just follow through and then we could just repeat it on Monday. But she failed to appear in court, correct? Okay. So let me talk to you about what happened with the dog bite incident. So she had a crash. She didn't go to court for that crash. Okay? She was issued a summons. She did not show up for court. So that was for the accident that she had, the second car accident she had, and she didn't show up for court. So there was a bench warrant out for her arrest. Now there is a sealed affidavit. There is a sealed affidavit that I cannot get my hands on, that I'm going to get my hands on because someone else has it that isn't under seal. And so this is what I was going back and forth with before. And there's some trepidation as I walk through this case because this ties to a larger case that I told you about before of bribery, fraud, criminal activities, conspiracy, you name it. Now, let's back up for a minute and talk about the fact that she just missed a court date. She's like, I'm not going to go to the court date. What happens when you don't go to a court date? You're arrested. You have a bench warrant out for your arrest. So when she actually had the dog bite incident in April of 2025, there was a warrant out for Miss Hart's arrest. When the police officer showed up, though, police officer says, hey, this is what we have to deal with. We have to issue a summons. Was she arrested? Was she arrested? Would you have been arrested? Now, the $100,000 or so in damage, the first crash that she had from 2017, what was said to me very clearly is that she was drunker than a hootie owl. Now, since this has actually happened and there's multiple people involved in this, I said before that I would bring the receipts for that specifically. I don't have that receipt in front of me, so I'm going to say allegedly she was drunker than a hootie owl. Now, I've had conversations with a witness. I think that they all know. I think Melissa Hart knows who these witnesses are. But I will say that the allegation was made very clear that she was drunk. There's also people inside of the judicial branch who would attest to the fact that that was not an abnormal event for Ms. Hart. There are no rules for judges, they say. No rules. The accident 8 years ago, she plowed into another car from behind. She was on the bench. Do you want to know what's in the police report? Nothing. There's no victim statements. There's no documents attached to it. There's absolutely nothing in the file that would point to or be collectively point to what Melissa Hart did. They purposely got rid of information because that's what you do for the crime family. Now we're all on the same team. Now that case has been adjudicated. They tried really hard to get it to go away. Now I know more about the attorney in that case than I care to know about, who was, she was first represented, the victim was represented by the Ramos law firm in 2019, right before the statute of limitations would have run out on that case. After what I was told was trying to reach a settlement. So we have a shady case where they basically let a Supreme Court justice get away with whatever, a couple years in, run and plow into the back of a car, do some shady write-up, don't charge her with a crime. They didn't charge her with a crime. Tell me when you plow into someone from behind whether or not you would be charged with a crime. Would you be charged with a crime? You plow into someone, you're going to get a ticket, right? Is that what happened to her? No, it's not what happened to her. She failed to appear on her second accident. We still don't know how many other times this Supreme Court justice decided that she would commit crimes. She had a warrant out for her arrest. A warrant out for her arrest, had a dog bite incident. They ran her. They knew she had a warrant out for the arrest. Did they arrest her? What is the process for which, if you have a bench warrant, that you either arrest them or don't arrest them? But what the police officer did, at probably the discretion of somebody above that police officer, was just tell her to go in and take care of it. Are you treated the same way? Is anybody here treated the same way? Do you get to just walk in and say, I'm going to do whatever I want? But there's more. Here's a document, and this is the part of the Christopher Gregory deal. And look, there are thousands of pages to go through. Put up this document. Put up the judicial letter to the Denver County Court. So here's a letter on January 28, 2026, a judicial discipline complaint, request to revoke deferred judgment, and request for law enforcement referral with appointment of a special prosecutor. And this is a letter from Christopher Gregory to the Judicial Discipline Commission. Now he goes through the fact that he was a member, vice chair, chair, and executive director of the Colorado Commission on Judicial Discipline. He's familiar with the code. It maintains that the ongoing retaliation is probable cause to suspect the justices of the Colorado Supreme Court, the members and staff of the CCJD, and others have committed or are committing various crimes, including retaliation against a witness or victims, first-degree official misconduct. My efforts to report these suspected crimes to law enforcement have been systematically obstructed, consistent with the overall pattern of depriving me of the fundamental right to be heard. Commission of these suspected crimes has now been further facilitated and complicated by the justices not disqualifying themselves and proceeding to grant Ciatori and Trujillo v. People, granting a review on a request on whether People versus Hickman, goes through that, created a rule that a person cannot commit retaliation against a victim or witness when the victim or witness has not yet testified or being scheduled to testify. So this letter, by the way, goes into what was done, this official misconduct. Now again, you could sit here and tell me that it's not a big deal that she got away with a DUI. I mean, Eric Coomer got away with a DUI. Not one, not two. He got away with 3 or 4. the haves and the have-nots. And this led to Christopher Gregory going out and getting all this information together. Now, we're going to have one of those witnesses that for Melissa Hart that's going to come on the show. In every thread, in every stitch, Honor-Bound USA weaves the fabric of the American spirit. It's not just apparel, it's a testament to God, family, and country. At Honor-Bound USA, we're a family of patriots who put our faith, family, and America first. When you visit our website, you'll find a line of products that embody our commitment to pray, stand, speak, and act. As the official site for the Untamed podcast, all of our products proclaim speaking the truth with courage. We also have the powerful documentary from Professor David Clements, Let My People Go. Identify yourself as one of the few who are willing to stand for what they believe in. Join the Honor-Bound USA family today. Wear it as a badge of honor, commitment to the values that shape us, and a pledge to the bright future we will build together. Because when you're honor-bound, you're not just wearing a brand, you're embodying a lifestyle. Listen, she was on probation, and we're putting together this kind of all these different documents. There's thousands of pages. I'm going to put the entire thing out there for you to be able to go through it and to go through the entire case. But the reason why I'm focusing in on Melissa Hart is married to Kevin Trascos, different last names. And he is the AUSA in the state of Colorado. He is the assistant U.S. attorney in the state of Colorado. Now, it took years in this case. Not one Kyle Clark, not 7 News, no one picked up this case. No one picked up the case. No one would talk about Melissa Hart. But Melissa Hart was on probation. And she had 1 year probation. She was given 1 year probation, supervised probation. Now, here's what you need to know about judges. When you are put on probation and you are a judge and another judge finds out about it, you're obligated to report that to the Colorado Supreme Court. You're required to report that to the chief judge. But nobody reported to the chief judge. You find no record of it. And actually, what's worse is that if it was reported to the chief judge, why it wasn't, that would even be worse. Because it would just, again, prove the fact that they literally hid the fact that she was put on probation. She wasn't arrested when she decided, I just flippantly don't have to go to court. So rules are for thee, not for me. You guys are plebes, you guys are slaves. I get to rule over you, do whatever I want. Again, I just want you to know that there's near bulletproof prosecutorial immunity for judges. You can't civilly sue them at all. They could ruin your life, take everything from you. I know, because they've tried. These people have lied, created these things called probable falsities, and have 15-minute discussions and say, no, Joe's wrong, we're going to take everything from him. Sanction me, take money from me. But this one's different. This is a Supreme Court justice. So let's walk through really quick, if we can, the summary of the filings that happened for Christopher Gregory versus the Colorado Judicial Discipline Rulemaking Committee et al., U.S. District Court for the District of Colorado, and it goes through a verified complaint and jury demand with exhibits 1 through 3. So let me run through, if I can, the key allegations in this case. Now, I just told you about a Colorado Supreme Court justice, the highest court in Colorado, that has stricken down multiple attempts by many conservatives to seek justice that was not given, and they just deny cert. They're like, yeah, we can just screw you, because the Supreme Court's not going to pick it up. So you have a cabal of people that tried to keep President Trump off of a ballot. Those same cabal of people who has an obligation to report the misconduct over and over and over again of their drunk counterpart, they have an obligation to report it. They have an obligation to report it, and plays these games to make sure that she went to the prosecutor in this case and said, I need you to hold on to this. I need you to suspend it until court is out of session. Hid it. And only resigned after the QTAM became public and the complaint was filed. That's when she resigned. And here's what makes matters worse. The AUSA in Colorado, Kevin Trasco, was not supposed to have any access to this case. And in a conversation he had with someone else, he stated, well, I looked at it and there is no there. Well, we've now had multiple attorneys look at this in multiple states. I have the entire file that's being printed off right now, and I'm going to personally take it to DC with all the different outlines of the things that crimes that were committed and by who, with the corresponding documentation to show that the entire city and county of Denver courtrooms, courthouses is nothing but a crime family that can get away and do whatever they want while doling out punishment for people with impunity. And now it makes sense of what I said about free. By the way, it doesn't affect me. None of that stuff affected me. Like I'm going to be fine. I'm going to walk through it. I have enough information that I will be able to go after Judge Marie Avery Moses. I will be able to go after the attorneys for the state of Colorado. I will be able to go after this new judge. And the special master, man, let me just tell you something. Suing her is going to be my pleasure. I want to talk to you about a case that the AUSA refused to investigate that is so deep and criminal that the fact that we haven't gotten to the place where this case has attracted the attention of the DOJ could only have happened if Kevin Trasco wouldn't have stood in the way and said, nothing to see here, don't look at it. Right out of the Bill Barr script book, right out of the Pompeo script book. Nothing to see here, do not investigate it. So let me just tell you about the guy that is at the head of this lawsuit that we're able to uncover. And we're going to do this all next week. All next week, I'm going to pick apart and show you every one of the exhibits. The plaintiff is Christopher S.P. Gregory. He's a former member, vice chair, chair, and executive director of the Colorado Supreme Court, the Colorado Commission on Judicial Discipline. He goes through and pinpoints a multi-year conspiracy all happened during this time that this guy named Polis was in office. It's a conspiracy by the Colorado Supreme Court justices and judicial oversight bodies to shield themselves from accountability from criminal violations and breaches of Colorado Code of Judicial Conduct. Court claim is justices engaged in a prolonged scheme to knowingly conceal a nearly $3 million in bribe public fraud involving former SCAO Chief of Staff Mindy Masias during the ongoing federal required statewide audit by the Colorado Office of the State Auditor. Masias was fired for suspected alteration of financial records, occupational fraud, later confirmed via fraud hotline, dishonesty, and other misconduct. Concealment of material information from the OSA is asserted as probable cause for suspecting the justices committed ongoing violations of law. Now let me just go through the facts that support these allegations. The scheme lasted for more than 6 years. The justices publicly admitted to concealing the material information from the OSA during its audit process. So they said, yeah, we hid it. We hid that information. A crime. There's another crime. Does anybody get arrested? No. Even when you actually have a bench warrant out for your arrest, you don't get arrested because you're the Colorado Supreme Court justice. The justice publicly admitted this, and Masias' misconduct, final records, alteration, fraud, dishonesty, were verified through an internal fraud hotline investigation. The OSA audit is described as an ongoing, continuous, and federally required, elevating the alleged concealment to a federal concern. The plaintiff invokes 42 U.S.C. 1983, 1985, 1986 civil rights conspiracy claims, 28 U.S.C. 1651, all Writs Act and supplemental state claims under 24-31-1204- or subsection 8, CRS likely tied to the Colorado AG or Judicial Oversight Authority. It's all a criminal cartel. And guess who it includes? It includes Phil Weiser. He can't run away from this. Like you can look at the data and you cannot run away from it. Jared Polis, can't run away from it. Your Secretary of State, Jenna Griswold, can't get away from it. You can try, but it'd be difficult for them to say they didn't do any of those things. We're gonna end it today with this. Melissa Hart resigned after committing crimes. The other judge covered up those crimes. The other judges covered up those crimes. Every one of the justices has an obligation, has an absolute obligation to report. 100%. Not a you have partial obligation, you have an obligation to report it. And they didn't report it. And they again swept it under the rug. When Christopher Gregory brought this case, he brought a stack of information and a stack of stuff that they could put in and be able to hold people accountable for things. None of that stuff made it because it was all destroyed. But somebody kept a copy of some of those things. And you have recordings and you have other things that are coming to light that point to that this is the way they do business inside of the Colorado judiciary. Now, we've all seen it. We've all seen the judiciary, what it's done. Yesterday, we talked about the federal court and what the federal court specifically did to a executive order that Biden put out there that just expired. And that federal court, that judge said, you know what? I'm not going to let you let it expire. You don't have the ability to let that executive order expire, even though the executive order was set with a time frame so that it would expire. So I got to ask you the question. Who are the rules for? Who are the rules for? A lawless society where judges can just make law out of thin air and decide what the people do. You can't sue a judge. They have immunity. They're out doling out $2.5–3 million bribes. And yet, as we sit here and have this conversation, not one person is in jail. And they make sure that, just like when we talked about Dominion, the fact that Lisa Flanagan Crane, married to Mack Crane, whose brother works for the election company inside of Denver, she handles the computer systems through Dominion to steal it. Matt runs the county clerk's recorder, make sure that those systems stay online and that nobody tries to take Dominion out of the equation or any of the election systems out of the equation by saying it's misinformation, disinformation. And then the brother makes sure that he has a close eye on what's happening inside of one of the election systems in Denver. Crime family. So you got the justices and you got all these people that are doling out and handing out money. You have a judge in Denver, sat on the bench, who killed himself because he was downloading kiddie porn inside of the judiciary while he's doing cases. And what happened to him? Oh, he killed himself. He took care of the problem. We don't seem to get any justice. This is a big enough case that the DOJ should have picked it up. The DOJ should come in and literally drop the FBI in the middle of it, confiscate Here's something that nobody seems to know that I found out today. You ready for this? The court system inside of the Colorado system is using a system called Slack. It's an internal communication device. Many of you guys know what Slack is. If you're in the business world, you know what Slack is. And when you go actually do any sort of FOIA request or anything else, none of those records are actually kept because they're deleted. It's considered outside of the confines of their email system. How do I know? Because we have 2 cases where we asked for what we already had a picture of for the Slack files, and they wouldn't give them to us. They said they don't exist. We took a picture of it. We know it exists. The entire judiciary is basically fraudulent. There's no part of the judiciary in the state of Colorado that is, that's why judges are actually leaving. That's why good judges that have been there for 20, 25 years are like, yeah, I want to get away from this. And what they don't seem to understand inside of the Colorado judiciary is that people are talking about it because they're tired of it. People are documenting it. People are speaking about it. They're speaking about Melissa Hart. They're speaking about Kevin Traskos. They're speaking about Boatright. They're speaking about Márquez. They're speaking about Phil Weiser. They're speaking about Polis. Next week we're going to break out. I'm just going to walk through the details related to Phil Weiser, Jared Polis, Jenna Griswold, the legislature, and actual documents that we have that show a criminal conspiracy for these people to sweep things under the rug, and not one person would be held accountable for their behavior. I want to keep in mind that one of the chief judge in the Colorado Supreme Court resigned in shame in 2021 because of this, and was not criminally charged, even though what he did was criminal. Again, I'm going to ask you the question, who are the rules for? The process is the punishment. They get away with whatever they want. They get to tell a police officer, you know who I am? Don't write anything up. Who then calls, gets on the phone, talks to the chief. Chief's like, yeah, just let her go. Write me some flimsy deal. Don't write her a ticket. Does $100,000 in damage, drinking at the time, and nothing happens to these people. Nothing happened to Eric Coomer. Slammed into a building, left the scene of the accident, tried to influence a public official, committed a felony. What did they charge him with? Careless driving, which they knocked down and gave him a $250 ticket. He committed a crime. Would you have been able to get away with the same crime? And you want to know why people commit crimes? Well, because they know that the system is absolutely crooked. And the only people that they're going to do is they're going to try and throw the book at good people. At some point, we are going to have to fix this. I think that's why I'm running for governor. I'm running for governor because I want to fix it. I want to throw it all out. I want to get rid of prosecutorial immunity, period. See, what they want to do is they want to hold police officers accountable. They want to say, hey, if you shoot someone, you can go to jail for the rest of your life. But when a judge throws someone in jail for 20 years or steals their life savings or takes away the rights of a father to take care of his children or stands on the scales of justice because they're just doing their buddy a solid or a favor, which happens every day. It happens every single day. Someone calls someone else, knocks on their back a little bit, gives them a little back rub, throws a couple $100 here or there. And you'd say, Joe, they don't do a couple $100. No, it's probably more than that. But we know it's happening. People don't give free entitlements. They want to make sure there's something on the back end for themselves. That's why you got a $2.5 to $3 million bribe that was paid. And that's one of a larger $15 to $20 million bribe scheme that we were able to uncover. We're going to tell the entire story. You're going to hear the entire story. And then we got to figure out what we're going to do with it. Well, the first thing we got to do is get rid of the machines and mail-in ballots in Colorado. We got to get to a place where people at every level are elected, not selected. And then we got to break down the political apparatus in the Democrat, Republican, and independent parties, if you call it independent parties. And we got to come up with a way that we actually don't think that the most important thing that we're actually out there talking about is cutting off kids' penises or girls going in boys' locker room. That's shunning. We want to shun the ridiculous and get back to the basics of how do we take care of our community and our country. So that's all. That's all we have today. It's Friday. I get to go. Let's put it up. I get to go to a debate tonight. I'll be at the Colorado Fairground. If I do not come talk to you, it is because there is heavy security at this event, and it is not heavy security because of the 3 others. It's heavy security because of me. They love me. The radical left loves me, and Rhinos love me. They really love me. So we'll talk about that. Let's pray it out. You have any questions? We have anything that anybody said that I need to look at? What do we got? The judge is coming. The judge is coming. Isn't it public record? Why would someone need to report it? Yeah, so let me just explain to you why it's public record, why you need to report it, because nobody had access to it. So when you go into court and you commit a crime and you're the judge and your job is to look over the probation on that case. When you do that, you have an obligation to say, well, this is a Colorado Supreme Court justice. They committed a crime, they're on probation, then they have to report it. But it doesn't exist. Had Front Porch Company, been away for a while and trying to catch up. 1.5 speed up, Melissa Hart. Wonder why I like to use Slack. Yeah, they love to use Slack. Hey, good luck tonight. Yeah, well, you guys will see it. We'll try to, I think we're going to broadcast it, so you'll be able to see it there as well. 2 Chronicles 7:14. Oh, amen. Thankful girl. Appreciate it. All right, let's pray. Father God, the further we get into this, the worse it gets. I didn't have as much time today to kind of walk through all the things that I think are important, but we'll get back into it on Monday. My concern is that we keep chasing the idea of having a society that's driven by ethics and morals, and yet we find out every day that it's quite the opposite. Father, help us not to get to that place where we just feel like we're fighting an uphill battle. We know there is a way to stop all this injustice that's happening in our communities and that's allowing them to enslave us on a day-by-day, week-by-week basis. Help us, Father, we may fight against it, but not become the very thing we're fighting against. And help us, we may get to that place where we can start examining how we can roll back the clock and stop all of this grift, graft, and corruption, this rot that we deal with every day inside of our society. And lastly, Father, I just ask in this case that the person that committed these crimes, the people that committed these crimes, that they'll be held accountable, that someone will stand up and do the right thing. I ask these things, Father, humbly, in Jesus' name. Amen. I think what I'm going to do is I'll probably take a 2 or 3 hour deal and I'll just walk through every document. I'll show you every document. I'll read you the complaint. And I think that'll be easier. And then as we start getting into the Melissa Hart deal, we do have a guest that's going to be coming on that was a part of this whole story. And so I want to give that person some time too to talk about the crimes that were committed by Melissa's Hart and how that person thought things went during that situation. But as you can see, nothing happens to anyone that commits a crime that is a part of their little crime family. It just doesn't happen. So have a great weekend. You guys keep it real. Pray for me. And we'll see you on the other side on Monday.
Whoa, whoa.
Oh, shit.
Rising from the fight for the forgotten and the free, exposing rigged machines, Kuma's lies, Dominion's deceit, pays a grand each day, shielding truth from corrupt halls, but he won't back down, standing tall through it all. Argentina Peters break the chains that bind her tight, hand count votes and one day bring the fraud to light. No more mailing scams, no machines to steal the night. Restore the people's voice, make Colorado right. Governor Oltmann, lead us bold and true. Badass for the have-nots, fighting through and through. With violence, property tax, cut the tolls away. Shrink the bloated state, let the people have their say. It's our rally call. Truth and freedom rise and watch the tyrants fall. Untamed Colorado, strong and proud, we'll be one man for the people, set our great state free. Help a single more victimhood, no chains on you and me. He's running for governor for real liberty. Smash a fraud machine, pardon heroes jailed for the have-nots. Rising truth will never fail. One warrior defies the corrupt elite. Colorado reborn, strong on our feet. Governor Oltmann, lead us bold and true. Badass for the have-nots, fighting through and through. Abolish property tax, cut the tolls away. Shrink the blow to stay, let the people have the say. Governor Oltmann, it's our rally call. Truth and freedom rising, watch the tyrants fall. Untamed Colorado, strong and proud we'll be. One man for the people, set our great state free. Whoa, 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 whoa. Governor Oltmann, lead us bold and true. Governor Oltmann, freedom forever, Colorado rise. Governor Oltmann, Governor Oltmann, Governor Oltmann, Governor Oltmann, Governor Oltmann, Governor Oltmann. Whoa. Rise up untamed. In the heart of the fight where the wild ones roam, Joe Oltmann's calling, bringing truth back home. From conservative daily to this untamed fire, we shatter the silence, lifting spirits higher. No chains can hold us, no lies can prevail. Authentic and fearless on this rugged trail. Patriots gather under stars and stripes. Untamed nation, igniting the night. Untamed nation, let the truth roll out in this land of the free. Standing proud from sea to shining sea, we won't back down. Catch the fire, wear the crown. Untamed nation, it's our battle song, motivating hearts where the brave belong. Yeah, untamed and wild, forever strong. Play it again all night long. Break the mold, chase the real. No more games, time to heal. Joe's voice leads the untamed crew.